And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. You're tuned in to Tapped Out. Hosted by Brendan Tobin and Sean Levine. Only on the BetQL network.
Well, fight fans, I got good news and I got bad news for you. All right. Brendan Tobin is here. I'm here. And we're going to talk to you for the next hour. That's the good news. The bad news is Nikita Krylov, who is supposed to be half of tonight's main event of UFC 70, he's there, but he's sick, apparently. He literally just pulled out with sickness moments ago. So that the main event is no longer. No Ryan Spann, no Nikita Krylov tonight. However, Tatiana Suarez tickets cash because she just guillotine choked Montana De La Rosa. So you were talking about heading into tonight. That was the one you were looking forward to. I assume you're satisfied with that finish.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she dominated that first round with her wrestling and then got that submission in round 2. So got to be good for her. Hasn't fought in 4 years. You can see that it meant a lot to her to get that one, man. And now she can get herself back into contention because that was that's got to mean a lot to get over that hump. And look, we've seen this. That happened with remember Juliana had the nasty knee injury. She was on her way with the Ultimate Fighter, and then had the devastating knee injury. Took her a while, then look, she got to the mountaintop. So hopefully Tatiana could have a similar path one day back, to the top.
While we're talking about the ladies, hey, ladies! Once again, the co-main event next week: Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso. You can get Grasso plus 425 at BetMGM right now. Valentina Shevchenko, no surprise, a big favorite at minus 650. All right, let's talk about some other fights that are coming up. Your guy, the Rat Hat. I call him that. That's not his actual nickname. Shavkat Rakhmonov is back. Well, looks like a rat hat. Get a better hat. That's all I'm saying. Takes on Jeff Hands of Steel Neal. Jeff Neal, a big underdog, plus 360. Shavkat minus 500. It feels like the UFC knows how good he is because they're putting him at as minus 500, but they kind of want to slow roll him a little bit. You onto that?
I think he's just having trouble finding fights, man. Like, look, Jeff Neal was going to pull out of his fight. It's tough to get these guys action. I don't know. It's tough because it feels like Rakhmonov, I don't know if he has to go miss weight by 100 pounds like Hamzat did and make people hate him, but he comes in there with his beautiful fox hat. I won't let you disrespect his garb that he has.
It was rat. It's fox.
It's fox, dude. It's a wild, beautiful fur that he has. And I think that, the guy's been an absolute monster. Every fight that he's gotten in there, he's looked untouchable. And it's one of these things where it's like, that's going to make you really tough to get opponents. And it also makes it, you say slow roll, but it's like, how do you get on the path if nobody wants to get in there with you? So, this will be on a big stage. I don't know what the next path is. If he is able to get through Jeff Neal, which I think that he will, how can he get to the spot where, he is getting a shot at the contenders and get his way up like Hamzat did? I don't know, but maybe it's a crazy quick turnaround or something like that. But this guy's dangerous, man. I think he's gonna open up a lot more eyes next week.
My late great Uncle David wore a rat hat. He also taught me how to fish. I miss that guy. Bo Nickel is going to make his UFC debut. You want to talk about a heavy favorite, minus 1,600 taking on Jamie Pickett. I mean, that's total disrespect to Jamie Pickett. Plus 850 on the comeback. I'm not saying I'm betting him. We know Bo Nickel's going to win this fight, but we can't find somebody for Bo to get in there with that's closer than a minus 1,600. What is this, boxing?
Yeah, but I mean, like, how many guys do you see with that few fights that get to go on this kind of a stage? And we're seeing this for a couple of guys. It's going to happen at 87 with Raul Rosas, who's going to get in there at 18 years old and get on the main card. Some people are grumbling about this, but I like it. I like the fact that these guys are if they think that they're ready. This guy wanted to get signed right away. They made him go on the Contender Series twice. Why not debut on a stage like this? This is fantastic. And, if he can do something like this on a John Jones card, that's going to elevate him right away. And hopefully, he's already talking trash about, Izzy and Pereira. I don't think he's going to be ready for a title shot after this, but certainly you imagine some domination like that. It's going to be a nice coming out party for Bo Nickel if he can get it done like the odds say he will.
Tell him that yourself, that you don't think he's ready for a title shot. As a matter of fact, you'll get a chance to Bo Nickel joins us coming up next week on Tapped Out. Man, we land the guest. If you want to hear from Israel Adesanya, if you want to hear from Robert Whitaker, if you want to hear from Islam Makhachev, I mean, you name it, we bring them on. Tapped Out here on the BetQL network, including Alexander Volkanovski, the current reigning pound for pound. Next week, we're bringing on Bo Nickel. And rumor has it, we're going to try to get John Jones for y'all. Maybe, we'll see. Supposedly, we got some sort of a connection. So
feels like a monster. It's just like I hate guest jinxing. It's like it's like you don't mention a no hitter.
No, you talk it into reality. I'm the exact opposite. So hopefully we get John Jones. We will have Bo Nickel.
You don't look like a manifester, dude. I can't exactly see you meditating in your living room, saying thing like you'll speak things into existence. Oh, I don't see you doing that.
There's a lot of things that go on in this living room. Meditating is not one of them. You're absolutely right about that. UFC 285, Dan Hooker out. Matisse Gamrot in versus Jalen Turner. Finally, an even fight-ish. Jalen Turner Matisse Gamrot minus 175. The underdog Jalen Turner at plus 145. That's an absolute banger of a fight.
Yeah, it is. It's a banger of a fight, and tough for Dan Hooker because it feels like it's been snake bit for him lately. But in a lot of ways, I think we got one that's even more competitive, which is always a good turn of fortune.
Hooker did look good his last time out. Let's just call it what it is. The previous 5 or 6 times, he looked absolutely terrible. So you can say snake bit. I say suck. Hopefully Dan Hooker gets back in the winning column next time we see him.
He did give us that juicy story about Islam cheating, though. So I got to give him props for that.
Yeah.
Maybe this is maybe there's some foul play here. Maybe the Makhachev camp is taking out Dan Hooker. All of a sudden, he's got to fight. Now you can't find him. Suspicious.
You're always wearing that tinfoil hat, aren't you? Cody No Chin Garbrandt, I just came up with that on the spot, is back. He's taking on Trevin Jones. Garbrandt, I love Cody. He's got the best tattoos. He's a great guy. His fight versus Dominic Cruz is one of the more memorable. Well, I maybe loved Cody past tense. Dude, he's 1-6 in his last 7 fights. What the hell is he doing as a favorite minus 165 in this one?
Whew. That's a good question. I mean, Trevin Jones has lost 3 straight too. So
touche.
That could be something. I mean, I think at that point you're betting on resume a little bit, but I am with you. That is that Cody has had a tough go of it. Where is this? This one is this at flyweight or is this at bantam coming up next week?
I believe it's a bantamweight fight.
All right, so he's going back up after the old trying to change weight classes. Is that what he's doing?
Good idea. Didn't work out great. Girakis Duplessis, that guy makes me money every single time he fights, is taking on Derek Brunson. Brunson, the dog, at 2-1. Duplessis at minus 250. What happens if Duplessis beats Brunson? Because Brunson's like the ultimate kind of, it feels like in the past, if you beat him, then you're either to the final guy or you're close to it. If Duplessis wins, could he be fighting for a title next?
Yeah, you definitely get the mix. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate for Derek. He is in that like perennial gatekeeper mode, but that is what's been shown lately. Is like you beat Derek Brunson, and it shows that if you're not going to be there next, you're probably on your way, or you're allowed to be in contention. You're allowed to be in the talks. And look, he's been really close. He's had some good performances and has had a bit of a resurgence at times, but he is what he is. He is there in that spot where it's like, hey, you're right now, you're the marker to see if you're good enough to go fight the next guys.
He definitely is that. And it sucks because he's had a really nice career. He just has kind of been that next dude. Curtis Blades is taking on Sergey Pavlovich on April 22nd. Curtis Blades is another guy. It feels like we talk about all the heavyweights and then we're like, oh yeah, and also Curtis Blades. Can you see him one day fighting for the belt?
I definitely think that he could fight for the belt especially with Francis not being there. Now Sergey is scary. I mean, that guy he's
knocking out everybody, dude.
He's steamrolling through a lot of folks. But Curtis, if your name's not Francis Ngannou, seems to have ability to take that away. There's just one guy who really seems like they got the Curtis Blades kryptonite, and that guy's not currently in the promotion. So to answer your question, yeah, I think he absolutely could be in there. There was even some fodder of him versus John Jones as being the comeback John Jones fight. before it ended up being on France, before it ended up being Cyril Gahn. Like, there was some Curtis Blades talk, so I don't see I don't think it being that out of the realm of possibility that Curtis Blades could find his way back there. But man, that's basically Sergey right there. He's a train dude. He comes right through, and he can be really, really tough to beat. That's what it's like when he walks. As soon as Bruce Buffer says his name, a train going through his opponents. It's tough.
He does come down those tracks, and you definitely want to get off. That being said, where does Tom Aspinall fit in this whole heavyweight picture? Because you have to think, I don't know exactly when, but in the next handful of months, he'll be back from his injury.
Look, dude, that's your guy. I don't know. That was such a devastating thing because he looked like he had the whole package. And we can see that these things can be tricky for fighters with their legs to come back like that. Those ligament injuries are tough because they got to be on them. They got to be shifty. They got to be elusive. They get them twisted in practice and jiu-jitsu practice. So it's not easy to come back from. And he looked like the truth. He looked like he was going to be absolutely in there amongst the contenders. Also, it looks like he's got to sleep with one eye open because Conor McGregor says he's going to kill him for slamming this week. Did you see that?
I did see that. I mean, honestly, I know that Conor is a bad man, but if you're not going to step to Tom Aspinall, even if Aspinall still has on an air cast, Tom Aspinall in 30 seconds versus the Notorious One. Let's be honest.
Maybe next, Conor McGregor, if this doesn't work out against Chandler, Conor McGregor moves up to heavyweight. That's his next move.
He looks like one, bro. He absolutely – you saw that picture of him standing next to Wonder Boy? He definitely looks like a heavyweight. I don't know what his walking weight is right now. We talked about this earlier for a minute. UFC 288, Charles Oliveira. Du Bronx is back versus Beneil Dariush. It's crazy because I was going to say no matter who Oliveira fights next, I'm going to take him as long as it's not against Islam. And now that we know it gets against Beneil Dariush, I'm kind of backing off of that. Like, Beneil Dariush doesn't really lose fights. Charles Oliveira is, let's just call it what it is. Oliveira was an average fighter. Oliveira he kind of had the George Masvidal path where he was good and people like watching him fight. And then he was fighting for belts, and obviously Masvidal fighting for a belt. Oliveira defended his belt a handful of times. All I'm saying is, maybe he got to the top of the mountain in the case of Du Bronx, and he's headed back down. I kind of like Beneil Dariush to win this fight.
I don't think it's a case for me of thinking that Charles Oliveira has been exposed. I mean, look, he lost to Islam. This is a very good weight class. These guys, I think you and I are in agreement right now that bantamweight's the best, but I think lightweight has the longest time had that crown. And it's right there as far as the amount of guys who you can consider elite. I still think Charles Oliveira is that, but he's just well-rounded. He's good at everything. He's another one of these guys, like his kind of taken the slow path to get here. And he wins this. He was supposed to be fighting Islam. That was supposed to be the matchup. He ends up falling out of that, and all of a sudden Islam's fighting Bobby Green, and then he gets the fast track to a championship. So this is a big opportunity for him, because if he doesn't, when does he get there then? So I think there's a lot of pressure on Beneil coming into this matchup.
I don't think that we've got the same Islam is invincible that we did a couple of weeks ago before we saw him fight Volk. Like, it sounded like you were kind of going that way, where it was like, well, you don't want to take anything against Charles Oliveira because he lost to Islam. Well, dude, I thought Islam just lost his last fight. I know that the standings tell me that he beat Volkanovski, but I felt like he lost. So you tell me, is Islam still the monster we thought he was a couple of weeks ago? I don't think he is.
You know what the thing is, though? I thought that was a great fight. Like, I think the thing that's just, I think that you and I both went into that, and I think a lot of people did, thinking that Volk was being disrespected by the odds and that he was way too big of an underdog. And I think that he proved it. Whether you thought that he won or thought that he lost, we can all acknowledge that was a razor-thin, close fight, and that Volkanovski proved that he is one of the best fighters on the planet. I think with Islam, we just don't have that much of a resume of him on the top of the top yet, because he only took on one top 5 guy. It happened to be the champion of the world to take the belt. Now he has 2. I still thought that he had some really good moments in that fight that showed how special he could be. And I don't know, maybe you may say that he didn't look that dominant, but maybe he goes in there the next time against Beneil, or he goes in there against Charles and he looks even better because they're not as good as Volkanovski is.
Speaking of title fights, real quick, BT, who do you like in that Triple C Aljo matchup?
I like Aljo. I think that
Me
he
too.
gets it done, but I've never been the biggest Triple C guy in the world. He's good, don't get me wrong, but I just like I've just I think he gets me with the king of cringe thing. I think maybe it's turned me off at certain directions, and I also think that it is a tough comeback to go against a guy right now who's been in there and has been taking on the best guys and maybe the best division of the sport. So I think that's a tough comeback for Triple C.
We bring on the best fighters. We bring on the best coaches. And coming up next, we got the best translator in the UFC. Fabiano joins Tapped Out. You're locked into the BetQL network.